Hello and welcome to MySecurityTV and our Tech and Sec Weekly. My name's Chris Cubbage. I'm the Executive Editor with MySecurity Media, and this is our Friday morning episode. We're going to be swapping off, I don't know where Philippe is, but we've had Philippe Audard on before with XTEK, and they've signed a Memorandum of Understandings with Milrem Robotics, and I think this is a development of their previous MOU with Milrem, and also Queensland company Athena Artificial Intelligence, or Athena AI. And they're deploying their AI solutions with XTEK and Milrem. So XTEK's doing some interesting things, and we'll hear from Philippe Audard and their Managing Director, and Scott Basham, their Senior Vice President, Tactical and Protection Systems. Bring them on. They're on together. Philippe and Scott. Scott Basham, the Senior Vice President, Tactical and Protection Systems, and Philippe Audard. You say your surname better than I do, Philippe, but you're the Managing Director. Thanks for joining us.
Philippe Audard, yes.
That's you've got that French accent.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks, guys. Philippe, maybe introduce us to XTEK and what you're doing. You're also an ASX listed company, and I've actually got some shares in you guys, so I better disclose that up front. But so this is fully promotional. But yeah, XTEK, and obviously getting bombarded with your PR. You've got a lot of news on at the moment. And it looks like you're building a very interesting platform here with Milrem and Athena. So introduce us to what you've been up to.
Okay, so I'll give you a bit of a background on the company as a whole. As you said, we're an Australian company listed on the stock exchange in Australia. We are mainly working on the defense side of the equation, plus law enforcement to a large extent. But so very much in the security business, definitely. And so we have two main activities. One is a ballistic activity, and the other is an ISR and tactical. So I'll take them, one after the other. On the ballistic side, we have developed a technology to be able to make plates and helmets in a much more effective way, which means a lot lighter for the same level of protection. We've developed that technology over the last 12 years or so, and it's actually hitting the market. What does that mean, hitting the market, if you're running in that business or in any business, for argument's sake? Well, we have a process that is what we've developed, which is a way to sort of press those material, which is typically polyethylene, in a very, very high pressure in an isostatic way, which means the pressure is the same everywhere. Therefore, the ballistic performance is the same everywhere on the part and on the helmet in particular. So we've developed that process. We've developed a number of products from that process. You don't sell the process, you sell products. So we have a number of these. We have developed a factory. So we have set up shop in Adelaide, where we have about 25 people at the present time. Plus our research center for this has been there for a while. And so that factory is actually fully operational now. We've opened it officially last year, but it's now in full production. And of course, we need to...
Sorry, go. Yeah, I was going to say, you mentioned ASX. Well, we've mentioned ASX listed as well, and now you're in manufacturing. What else are you working on in terms of the robotics side? Because obviously this is a sort of are you looking at it from the soldier's perspective and building something around the soldier and how they operate, and then how potentially this can move into the sort of civil protection sector as well?
So yes, we're mainly in soldier protection, soldier equipment in general terms. So we work very much at the edge, not in headquarters or whatever. We're really on the field. So to finish off on the ballistic, the fourth aspect of it, having a process, having products, having a factory, you need commercialization means as well. So in that sense, we have acquired a company in the US called Armour about 18 months ago, which is manufacturing, which is very important if you want to address the defense market in the US. You need to be able to manufacture there. But he's also extremely well introduced into the law enforcement in general. So these guys are doing different things in terms of ballistics, probably not at the leading edge, but very, very, very good products. And we're gradually sort of introducing our new product, high range side of things into the US through that. We also have a number of distributors across the world that are selling this.
Yeah.
So that's what we do in there. It's a new activity, it's a new technology, and it's picking up very nicely.
What do you find is, sorry, Philip, what do you find driving you there? Is it the technology that you feel that, okay, this is really different and advanced, or is it also from the soldier end and the defence sector saying we do need something new, we do need something lighter and tougher as well? What's been sort of driving you?
Well, it's both. We were distributing that kind of products before, so we know how it works. We know what the issues were, and clearly the soldier has more and more load on his back.
Yeah.
Typically, he goes for a day with 25 kilos. He goes for 2 or 3 days with 50 kilos on his back. I mean, and everyone else is trying to put a bit more load on him, which is another computer, another sensor, another camera, another whatever. Not very many people are trying to take off any load. So
yeah.
Having something lighter, and of course helmets and plates are a very large portion of the load for their protection, which is important.
Are you doing anything in the skeletal, sort of mechanical skeletal type stuff as well?
No, we're not very much in that. We don't have the skills for that, but certainly, reducing the load is very important. Absolutely. Yep. And that's something that we can offer now. But skeletal is probably a fair few years away. I mean, people are experimenting, but it's still a fair few years away.
Yeah. Okay. Because I imagine that's going to have to be ballistic proof as well over time, potentially, particularly if you're going to make it lightweight as well. So yeah, introduce us to the recent MOUs as well, and sort of the strategy that you're building here with your partners.
So the ballistic side is what I've just described. The other side is much more what Scott is doing to a large extent, and it comes from a number of things that we've started with UAVs. We've been supplying UAVs to the Australian Army for quite a few years now, and we've actually branched into using the UAV data, typically the live videos, basically, to process this into a way to make maps on one side, 3D maps, but also being able to use that capability to sort of target. So we've gradually built systems now from that, which are all unmanned, and it's very important to see that there's a lot of things that are manned and that are working, but more and more we're getting into unmanned systems. And what we've developed recently is a complete sensor to shooters chain, going from UAV sensors unmanned to the software that we've developed to sort of get the 3D mapping done in real time, itself giving targets to say a remote weapon station or a weapon of some kind that is carried by a UGV, and that's how Milrem is starting to get into this. And so we now have a completely unmanned system, which of course the next step being trying to automate all this, and that's the purpose of all this. So I'll now pass on to Scott.
Fantastic, good stuff. So perhaps, Chris, if I just take on from what Philippe was saying. So we've got a number of great platforms that we provide in this part of the world. As Philippe said, the unmanned systems, unmanned aerial systems for defence, doing that for a number of years. And one of the software suites that we run on that is our XTEK 3D mapping and modelling software. So that, as Philippe was just saying, allows us to geo-reference every pixel in the full motion video to create a 3D map and model that can be published onto the battle management system, and any subscriber on there can take that information off and use it for whatever purpose that they need. One of the other modules of our XTEK software suite is what we're calling Airwolf. And Airwolf is effectively tactical targeting software, which allows the mission commander, who's taking all of those video feeds in through the XTEK front end, to identify and target particular threats that they may find on the battlefield, and then allocate that to a particular effector. So as Philippe was saying, a weapons station, or a tank platform, or it could be fast-moving jets, could be artillery, could be a range of different things. But in the case that we're talking about right now, it could be something on a UGV. So we're doing the aerial data and ISR collection, and then we're also doing the piece with the ground troops, as you were just saying, with the UGVs. We're very fortunate to have a great relationship with Milrem Robotics out of Estonia. Milrem are effectively the NATO standard for this sized platform, this size UGV platform. They're the common platform in the European IMUGS program. And the THeMIS UGV, the one that we've got out here and we're doing trials and demonstrations with, is in service in 12 countries, 12 NATO countries around the world. And it's what the Army folks call TRL Level 9. So it means it's been to war. It means that it's proven in battle, proven in an operational theatre, and all those kinks and troubles and tribulations that you get from the early development of prototypes and the like have been well progressed through to an operational system. So where we're at right now is we've signed a couple of fantastic MOUs that touch on both sides of that shooter to sensor chain that Philippe was just talking about. The first one is great because it draws on our other existing Australian industry capability from our composites of ballistic armour manufacturing, and that's to provide, at this stage, early designs and prototyping for ballistic armour, up armour packages for the Milrem THeMIS UGV. And that's really exciting because we're drawing on that lightweight capability that Philippe was just mentioning. So with UGVs, of course, you're always worried about the amount of weight in the vehicle and the like. The good thing about the THeMIS is that it's a tracked UGV, so getting across broken ground and tough country is much more easy for a tracked vehicle, I believe, than perhaps a wheeled vehicle. So we're looking at that close collaboration with Milrem. Milrem will determine the specification of the levels of protection that they require, and then working with our team in Adelaide, in our big factory in Adelaide, we'll come up with the appropriate designs and configurations that will allow us to protect those areas that need the most protection, and to give that enhanced survivability on the battlefield for this type of UGV.
So this would be like a forward moving in front of the soldier, sort of a moving out in the front, feeding back intel, but also autonomous in its own right as well. So
exactly right. So UGVs are used in a variety of different roles, and the THeMIS is a fantastic platform. It can be configured in any number of different payload structures. So there's the direct fire support type configurations where it's got a great big machine gun or rockets or other types of systems applied, or it can be employed in a cargo carrying, logistics, casualty evacuation configuration with different payloads basically inserted in between the tracks and then moved around the battlefield. At the moment, Milrem have a number of what they call intelligent function capabilities as part of their solution for this. So that's things like waypoint navigation, so setting a number of waypoints in a course and then letting the UGV go off and follow that route. It also has such features as leader-follower, so you can drive one in and then have multiple units then following behind that, or indeed following an armoured vehicle or other vehicle and then coming into the area. So really great capabilities there, and what we're doing with Milrem on the armour side is giving that extended survivability so that those dismounted soldiers that you were talking about before have that guarantee that the first shot's not going to get a mobility kill on their load carrier with all their baked beans and bullets and bombs being total on behind them. So it's very important in that regard.
And that, from a business perspective, that's obviously going to be applied on Milrem Robotics. You mentioned in Europe and the like. So what they're doing, they're taking on board on all of their systems as well.
So look, it creates the opportunity for exports of Australian industry content overseas through the Milrem supply chain, which is very exciting. And potentially it has the opportunity to be the inherent application straight out of the factory. Obviously, Milrem have got many units already deployed across those 12 countries, as I said. So it could be an up-armour kit, it could be an aftermarket opportunity, a number of different solutions and offerings there.
And with the Athena AI and their platform, are you looking at building sort of a central platform that can then talk to various remote vehicles or drones and the like, that, even from a swarming perspective, is that kind of, what's your overall strategy here to plug, a bit like building sort of this intelligent system, almost that C4I, and you're building that, and then you can start to deploy this on whatever that mobile vehicle is, whether it's controlled or autonomous?
Sure. So a number of great parts to that question there. Let me come back to the first part. So at the moment, we provide the Army with its small unmanned aerial systems, SUAS. So that's the WASP in particular, and the Puma, which is its big brother, is also in operation with Army right now as well. What those drones can do is do that mapping and modelling capability, so we can feed that into the battle management system. So people in all different parts of the organisation can get that real, the real model of the lay of the land, and that's very important on a number of different fronts. If you're going to attack an enemy, then you want to make sure that you're in the low ground and the creek line and not visible and all that sort of good thing. Same, that information could be very handy for the navigation systems of UGVs. So if they're manoeuvring to resupply an observation post on a hill somewhere, they need to make sure that they're not going to be seen on the way in. So that 3D mapping and modelling information, very important to give people, that real situational awareness of what they can see and what they can't see, and who can see them. The other part then comes more in the targeting software, and this is where the collaboration with Athena AI, Athena Artificial Intelligence, is really clever. The Athena AI team are, really great guys when it comes to the developing of software for detection and recognition algorithms. So the way that we're looking to collaborate with them is that their software will sit in the background of our Airwolf targeting software, and what it'll do is it'll identify, that camouflage pattern on those soldiers over there is not Australian camouflage, therefore it's somebody else, therefore it's the enemy, or potentially the enemy. And same, that tank over there is not an Abrams, it's a T-72 or something similar, not something in our arsenal. So again, that's potentially an enemy. So that'll sit in the background, and then we'll use some rules engines and some other coding to help automate some of that, the speed of that detection, so that then our targeting software, once the mission commander can identify potential threats, can get that information more quickly and more accurately to the people who need to use it. And that level of collaboration, again, both Australian companies, their software team, our software team here in Canberra, working together to create, sovereign capability for the battlefield. So, really very important stuff.
And it's also, I suppose, it adds some backup or sort of residual backup as well, because obviously defence, US military and the like have their own systems. It's not necessarily new, but just in case that system breaks or is somehow compromised, then there's these other backup systems that can be deployed already out in the field. But there's no point just relying on one. I'm always thinking I've seen this kind of target recognition, blue team, red team type recognition before. But again, as you mentioned, the sovereign build of this is quite interesting.
Yeah, look, it really is. And, we have physical manufacturing in Adelaide where we make our composites and ballistics armour. But effectively here in our headquarters in Canberra, we have a forge, we have a factory where we're doing that sovereign development of software, which is really important. And to your point there, the best form of self-reliance is to trust yourself and to make sure that you can deliver things without having to depend on others. Nobody knows what's going to happen in the future. So I think the pandemic and other recent things have shown us that we need to be investing and developing these sorts of capabilities. And this is a prime case in point. And again, two Australian companies working together to create smart software that's going to help our soldiers on the battlefield, heaven forbid, if and when they need to use it.
Now, the release on the MOU just came out. Sorry, Philippe. Go, Philippe.
Yeah. Another point, it's not only Australia, and it's not as if you have a lot of unmanned systems that are available on the market. What we propose here is very much in the making worldwide. And we're talking about a factor 10, at least in terms of cost. Or if you take, say, for instance, a manned aircraft and a manned armored vehicle, compared to our system with a drone and a UGV, you probably have even more than a factor 10 in terms of costs. So you can actually deploy a lot more of those and protect a lot more people. And make it much more available to the soldier on the ground. Because I mean, if you have a very expensive UAV like a Predator, for instance.
I've got a siren in the background too here. I don't know if it's me.
Is it you or?
I'm in the middle of Sydney though. There's always sirens. So.
Yes, I mean, a Predator would cost you, $65 million. An armored vehicle the kinds of the Land 400 we're buying at the present time, it's $20, $30, $40 million a pop, depending on what you put on top. With this UGV, you have the same amount of weapons, basically, on something that costs $1 or $2 million for the whole system. So we're talking about a fantastic way to protect the guys, the soldiers in the field, at a cost that is affordable to deploy in very large quantities. Whereas the very sophisticated weapons that are available now do similar jobs, but at an enormous cost.
It also, I was going to say, puts pressure on the bigger players. I won't mention some of the bigger defence and multinationals, but it puts pressure back on them to say this technology is being developed elsewhere, and they bring your price down.
Yeah. So look, Army in particular are doing a lot in this space, and they've got a great team of people there who are very knowledgeable and very forward-leaning into the whole concept and the use case of all of this. And we talk with them regularly, of course. And to Philippe's point, those future battles become all about scale and survivability. So if you can get a platform that's a fraction of the cost of those manned platforms that can be operated autonomously, semi-autonomously by remote control from cover, from a place of protection, and you don't have warm bodies inside at risk, then that's obviously very much what Army and the Defence Force are thinking about. Also, to Philippe's point, where our software is very much agnostic. So we've already integrated a number of different sensor suites into our Airwolf and our Atlas software. So things like shot detection for microflame, things like digital binoculars that can give 10-figure grid references. So again, we can ingest that data for targeting applications, which is really important. And then various other effectors can be put on top of the UGV platform. As I said, whether it's rockets or missiles or heavy machine guns or a range of sensor suite, EW, different payloads, allow those commanders to very quickly swap in, swap out the payload. It's easy to imagine a 20-footer stacked with different modules that literally get pulled out, dropped on, away you go, to do those sorts of things. So you get that utility. And somebody said to me the other day, we were up at a big conference in Brisbane, the Land Forces show, and somebody said, this fantastic Milrem THeMIS is like the Willys Jeep of World War II. It's universal, it's ubiquitous. You can put just about anything on it and send it on just about any type of mission, and it won't let you down. So we're really excited about the relationship we have with Milrem and all of our exclusive arrangements that we have with world-leading OEMs. So
the question I had, sorry to interrupt, was, and I'm just conscious of time as well, of the Athena AI MOU is relatively new. How advanced are you with that? Do you have this integrated already, or is this relatively a new play?
No, look, we've been talking with the Athena folks for a little while, and we've been progressing that prototyping and development work along that path. But just recently, we did some flying with one of our Puma SUAS platforms. With the I-45 gimbal on top, so the sensor array on there, running our Airwolf software with the Athena AI detection algorithm in the background, and it worked great. And so, look, we're very excited about that. We're very excited to show that in due course to Defence and to Army in particular, and the various parts of the organisation there who, take these types of things and then, help seed fund and do other developments. The feedback we have so far is really very positive. Army, as we've seen in a range of other things, is all about Australian industry content. So they love it when two software companies, as part of my team is the software devs here and the Athena folks, get together and bring that that energy and that passion for the capability that we want to give to those dismounted soldiers and others on the battlefield.
Yeah, look, it is very, very interesting stuff. It's you're really playing with big toys here, but with some very powerful software as well. Philippe, what I wanted to finish off with, and we're almost at the top of the hour, where maybe just finish off with the defence capability and their strategy. They have an AI strategy as well. They're starting to look at their remote sort of vehicles as well. They're playing a lot in this field. Is that the opportunity? Is that where you're already in as part of that as well? And how much are you really working day to day with Defence on that?
Absolutely. I mean, this is. I mean, they're talking a lot about the autonomy side of things.
Yeah.
But you have to sort of put it on something that makes sense. You cannot get a manned aircraft becoming autonomous on its own. It's not designed for that. What we've done is we've done this sensor to shoot a chain on unmanned systems. So they're light and they're sort of well organized in terms of operating in that sort of environment. We're now getting, and that MOU is actually the first step into artificial intelligence and get them from unmanned to autonomous. And the level of autonomy is you can go as far as you like. There's a lot of things that can be done. So this is the first step, but at least it starts from a system that is unmanned, that you can adapt to do this. Some of the autonomous tests that the Defence has done in the past has been putting some autonomy on an M113, which is a massive manned vehicle, which is a bit a World War II. Vietnam. Sorry,
I was in them.
So it's not of great interest if you put it in a vehicle that is not really going to go into the battlefield. It's just testing and playing with it. Here, what we're doing is we're just implementing it into a system that can actually go on the battlefield and get that autonomy into reality.
It
so
does.
Yeah,
look, at the future war, I mean, there will be one. That's how humans operate. But, from what we've seen, we have covered this in terms of sort of the remote control APCs or, those types of things as well that they're working on. It's a very interesting time. We cover this on our Drastic channel, our Drones and Robotics, and we've also got a Space and Defence channel. So if you wanted to keep up from the audience, that's how we follow this. And there's a lot of XTEK. I mentioned XTEK, we're getting there direct, and this is not the first time we've had you on, Philippe, so it's great to have you back, and it's a good story to follow, and hopefully we don't ever need to use it, but again, there's a bunch of videos on our YouTube channel with this as well. So, gents, I'll let you go. Thank you so much, and you mentioned you're on the back of Land Forces, so was MicroX, so it'd be interesting to see if I see you two talking to each other in the future. We can bring it back to Tech and Sec Weekly. Thank you very much. We've had Philippe Audord, the Managing Director, and Scott Basham, Senior Vice President, Tactical and Protection Systems with XTEK. Thank you very much, gents. I'll let you go. Enjoy your day.
Bye. Thanks, Chris.
Cheers.
Bye.
All the best. Bye-bye.